But anyways, let's move into the world of college basketball and the NBA draft. We talked about the realm of Anthony Davis and his wet boys. He's now been a wet boy for 4 months. We're getting out of the NBA. We're going into the college basketball world, and we're talking about the Duke freshman, Marvin Bagley III. And we're going to give a shout-out to Free Game over on Twitter. You can follow him at Negrodamus. And he slid into the DMs late last night and said, why are y'all ranking Marvin Bagley so low? And I just went into the fact saying that I don't know what he will play in the NBA. I don't see his offensive game translating over too well. To start whatever team he goes into, he's not going to be, what he's doing right now at Duke. He's not going to be the guy with the ball in his hands consistently. He's going to need to work off other players, and I don't know how he's going to do that exactly. So, looking at this, Marvin Bagley, we see the athleticism, we see the talent. He's super talented. If we're going based on talent, he's probably a top 3 player, probably even above maybe Ayton, just with what he can do overall. I mean, what Ayton can do in the NBA is ridiculous. But I mean, shooting wise, athleticism,
best
dribbling.
College player doesn't really always translate.
Exactly.
That's what we're saying.
So I mean, right now he's been ridiculously impressive, and that's one thing that you can't take away from him. It's how is he going to translate to the NBA? So. It's probably perfect that we're talking about which team best fits him, because if he goes to the right team and they're able to really show what he shows best, this guy might be a top NBA player. And Negrodamus over here saying that he's going to be putting up 18 points per game and 9 boards in his rookie year. So do you agree with that? Because that's a ton. The last guy to do that, I think, was Cat. But talking about this specifically, which team best fits Marvin Bagley III?
I mean, I just want to say also Ja that year.
He put up 17, though.
Rolling out of bed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think the cool thing with Bagley is that there's a couple of teams that could fit him. It really just comes down to his usage, because he is really athletic, really quick, and has a motor that doesn't turn off. And that's what I like to see, because the whole year has been that way. Even coming after he's coming out of this injury, still has the same motor, hasn't dropped off even a little bit. So those things are all great things to translate to the next level. Like you said, the question about the fit and the where is he going to translate that offensive game at the NBA level. That's why I think that not only could he go to, and I hate doing this now because the bottom of the NBA is so close. So I'm not mocking him to the number 1 overall slot, but I'm saying these teams could fit well. Like, I know we're talking Memphis later, so I'll just mention Memphis could work for him. I think Dallas would be an interesting thing if this is the last year of Dirk, even if it's not, they're rotating that size. And I think that he would be a good fit. He can bounce between the 4 and the 5 for them, especially with Harrison Barnes mostly playing some 4 time this year. And I think the one weird one to me is that I think that he actually would fit well in Sacramento. And I know a lot of people are like, but you guys have Willie Cauley-Stein and Scal, and they've invested stuff there. I'm just saying this is a young team, and I like what he could bring to them, because I like the pairing of him with De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, our boy Bogdan. I think that if you have that group, I really do like his fit there as well.
Well, and the one thing, too, you mentioned a little bit right now, just separating 1 through 7 is a game and a half. I mean, right now, Brooklyn is sitting at that 7 spot, but they're only a game and a half of that number 1 seed. It's just because Memphis has lost 12 straight games.
Yeah,
they're that number 1 seed.
They're impressive at the tank game.
We don't know which teams are going to be where when the NBA draft comes along. So I mean, we could talk about which teams are going to be best fitting to Bagley. We look last mock draft, we had him going to Memphis at that 6 spot. So right now at 6, that would be Orlando, Brooklyn, Chicago, New York, all those teams after him. Yeah. That would be possible fits if at least we're going off his the last mock draft. Ricky, are you agreeing with Dave with the teams he threw out there?
The team that I was thinking about before Dave even threw him out there was Dallas, because the way the mock kind of rolls right now for me is, Memphis was great last time we did our mock draft, but now they're the number 1 pick. I know we're going to get into them later, so I won't go too far into it, but spoiler alert, if you're going to take a big, you're going to go with Ayton over Bagley. I know the difference of one's going to play the 5, one's going to play the 4.
Right.
But I don't pass. If I need a big, I'm taking Ayton over Bagley no matter what. It's going to be 4 or 5. The next possible team, the next teams that could use bigs, Phoenix could go ahead and take them. I don't think they would.
Disappointing play.
I think they would go with a guard at that point.
Yeah.
But Dallas to me, because it's okay, you know what? At this point, what do we do? Do we go with a guy like Mo Bamba? Do we go with a guy like Marvin Bagley? And the thing that I look between the two, because that's what it is for me. Right now, Ayton's at the top. Then it's Bamba and Bagley are my next two bigs.
Straight disrespect to Triple J.
Yeah, we'll throw in Jared Jackson.
Triple J is there. I have him 4 right now. I have him right behind Him and Bagley will then fight for 3.
And then I disagree with that because I have Bamba at 2, Jackson at 3,
Yeah.
Bagley at 4, and then Dave disagrees with that.
Because he's got Jackson at 2,
and
Bagley
then
at
Bagley
3.
3, and Bomb at 4.
Yeah,
But
so
the point I'm trying to make
preferences.
is
a lot of bigs.
Dallas could be interesting because just between Bamba and Bagley to me is a player where, he does a lot of things, but he doesn't do any one thing really well to me, where it's like he's got a variety, but he can improve in all of his areas, whereas you have a Mo Bamba where it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, defensive stalwart, at least he's really good in one area, and I know what I'm getting in that area, and I don't have to improve everything.
But why is that a negative for Marvin Bagley? If he does a lot of things well, why is that a negative? Because the athleticism is there, the size is there, the body, the build is all there. Where Mo Bamba, he needs to get bigger.
Because to me,
he needs to become more of a basketball player. He's got a lot of athletic and body abilities. He's with the 7'9" wingspan. But with Bamba, I don't know if that polish is on that basketball game where you look at Bagley, he's able to handle a little bit, he's able to drive, he's able to shoot a little bit. He needs to tweak those things, but there's a lot of things he does well. I see that more as a positive compared to where Bamba, you need to really work on his offensive game.
And another thing that plays into this, I like that you brought up the handles for Bagley. That's one of the reasons why I would still move away from him with Dallas and go with a Bamba, because it's like, we've got Dennis Smith Jr., he's our main ball handler. We don't need.
I don't think anyone's going to say Bagley's are going to be your main ball
I
handler
know.
at any point.
But like he can handle the ball too, just not like a LeBron James and a forward type of situation. One team that I thought about, not solid on this fit because I'm not solid on either of the guys playing center, but it could be interesting if he goes to 4 right now. Could the Hawks think about it? Because they were a team when they were number 1. We said for me, no question, Ayton's your guy.
Right.
But could they go Bagley and maybe then try to figure out? I know they got John Collins there, but is John Collins more of a forward? And Bagley would come in playing that 4. I don't think he would play the 5 coming in for the Hawks.
Well, one thing, Collins is bigger.
Yeah.
So at least
fatter,
broad-wise. Yeah, I mean, he's
fatter. Fatter's the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, he's more built. He's solid. He's an older guy too. I mean, he was a sophomore at Wake Forest, so now he's. I think he's got 3 years on Bagley, 3 or 2 years on Bagley, age-wise. So I mean, that's something where Collins is a little bit bigger, might be able to face defensively centers a little bit more. But none of those guys are really.
Bagley is technically 1 inch taller too.
Yeah.
6'11" to 6'10".
But like size-wise,
yeah,
like
muscle size too.
Yeah, broadness wise.
Yes.
I think that you don't really have a true center there, and I think that's a good point. But what we've heard, at least coming out, is that they're not really set on keeping John Collins around. They're really going to be trying to, whoever they draft is going to be their guy that they're going to try to build around.
Then
John Collins has been good.
They can draft Bagley then, and he can be their 4.
Yeah, but then again, at that point, it really comes down to exactly
what are they going to do with Dennis too?
But can he be a superstar?
Yeah,
like with Bagley, if you're taking him, is he going to be the guy? Because your idea is can he be the guy? And then if a guy like Trae Young's out there, Michael Porter Jr.'s out there, why would you take Bagley if you're more sold on a guy like Trae Young or Porter being more of a star than Bagley? Not saying that they are, but I'm saying if they feel that way, then you're really in that situation of we are getting a guy who's going to be a focal point of our team. Which guy has the higher upside to be a superstar? Porter, Young, Bagley. That's going to come into the discussion as well.
Well, and then that's another thing. I know this isn't exactly fit, but it's one thing that could affect Bagley. Just looking at the draft right now is not only does he have to fight off the I'm better than Bamba or Ayton as a big, he's also got to fight off the, let's say he's there for 4 for Atlanta, all right, do we go with Bagley or we're not sold on keeping Dennis around, let's go after a Trae Young.
Yeah,
let's get that guard in there.
That's why I threw out Trae Young being in there because he's a superstar. I mean, superstar possibility.
That's why
they're not sold on keeping anybody.
And that's why, going back to what Dave said, I do the Kings aren't. I'm not solid on it, but they're the one team that I know for sure would not go with a Trae Young.
And let me throw out one team
unless Trae Young balls in the tournament.
Before we talk about one specific team that he's going to be a best fit for. I know this team is pretty low right now, and this is not a team that's for sure. I'll throw out your Bulls out there too because I know people like them up. I know people like the Bagley Bulls fit for a little bit just because of what I'm going to mention because they have Markin in there. But the Knicks, right now, I think could be a nice fit for Marvin Bagley.
Especially when KP comes back?
That's the point. So you're going to have a guy in KP who can stretch the floor, who can work on the outside, work on the perimeter, and Bagley with him, being able to, just, be a cutter at some points because he has that speed cut in the basket, he'd be phenomenal in that. We see KP being a decent passer. And also, what you can do as well is you can put Bagley, weirdly enough, in ISO situations and spread KP out where, if Bagley's driving, he can kick it out and they could swing it around to an open KP, and they're completely opening the lane up for Bagley to work. We've seen this work in college a ton. I think back to that Texas game where he's on, not Bamba, but it's Osterkowski. I always forget that guy's name, Dylan Osterkowski. I think that's his name. But
no relation to Dave over here.
No, because there's a Kowski on it.
I don't got a Kowski.
But he's on the right wing, and it's ISO ball. All the Duke players on the left side. Bagley's on the right wing, and he's just going one-on-one with this guy, and he's just torching him because this guy's bigger, quicker, faster, stronger, and he's able to pull up.
I hated that game. That game was so god-awful to watch, only because it's like, well, Bamba's out of the game. Bagley ruled the day.
Well, that's the thing. At the NBA, can you do that?
No,
but that was a wait. Would you hate basketball? It was a close game. You saw a star dominate. That's what you love in basketball.
I'm saying, like, in overtime, because once Bamba fouled out, it was, hey, let's throw it down to Bagley. And it's like, oh my God, he's dominating. Like, that's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a close game throughout.
But that's what you could see with the Knicks.
Yeah.
They can run offensive sets just where they ISO Bagley on the right side.
But like Dave said, is he going to be able to do that at the NBA level?
Is he going to be able to outmuscle people, outsize them? I don't think so. And that becomes the question. You mentioned superstar potential and fit, and him working low post sounds great and all. And I'm sure like he can come into the league, and he's decent sized already. It's just a question of he doesn't have the experience working against NBA bigs, and it going up against guys who are like 6'10" in college versus like 6'10" in the NBA is a world of difference.
But again, we're not drafting guys on their rookie year performance.
No, and I understand.
This is what Bagley can become.
But do you want to draft a big, 4 or 5 guy in today's NBA as your guy for the team? That's why I don't think Atlanta would go with him. I don't think that he is the anchor. He's not a focal point of a team in my mind. While he brings awesome energy, I can see him easily being, like a 14-9 guy. Like, I don't see him being the superstar. I don't think he's Kevin Love in Minnesota. Like, that's not the
like a 2020, 2015 guy.
Yeah. That's not where I see him. Probably not fat. Yeah. Fat K Love's my friend. But I don't see him doing that. And that's just where I see him mocked out, like, is not that role. I think he is an awesome energy guy. I think he definitely can be a 4 or a 5 in the NBA because everybody wants to go smaller, more athletic. So he'll have the opportunities. Going up against guys like Larry Nance on the right now on the Cavs is playing center sometimes for them. So you will have opportunities to take advantage of guys, but I don't think that he is going to be like your star on your team. That's why I'm looking for teams who kind of have established guys maybe, and he can kind of be that awesome complementary piece.
That's why I'll throw out two. One's a little bit farther back. Like you said, the Knicks, I'll one-up you, Sean, the Clippers.
Whoa.
To where, like,
if
and
he fell.
He's not going that deep.
No. That's also not a fall thing of Detroit.
At 12.
We don't know how Detroit's going to do going forward. What if they lose a couple games, they move up in that draft order, and he goes into there? A team that could be in his range that I think would be interested in taking him. Let's see what they do with their contracts. What if Cleveland can be like, hey, you know what? We're going to work a deal to get TT out. We're going to get that contract off the books. Hey, we don't want Larry Nance to be our main power forward. Hey, he's here at 7. Let's get a guy like Bagley who can come in and be someone young for this team if LeBron stays too, or they think LeBron is going to stay. Because he could be a guy that because LeBron with that team can open up the lane,
right,
and then Bagley can work inside, outside, whatever he wants, and they can move K-Love down low sometimes. They can switch off whatever they want.
We see K-Love always working on the perimeter most of the time too. I mean, you're pretty much putting him in that TT situation too, and I mean he's a bigger than TT.
That's the question: is how much of an upgrade over TT would he be? And like, I don't know. I think it's marginal. I think he definitely has the body for it. It's just
I'd say offensively, it's an upgrade.
Yeah,
defensively, it's a downgrade.
That's the thing, and that's what do they need TT for on that team? And that's because K-Love can't play defense against 5s. So that's why I'm like, I like where you're going with get younger and bigger.
Yeah,
but like that's not a great swap out for them if they could even move TT's contract, which is a problem in itself. To be. Yeah, I kind of like the New York fit. We went into that. The one thing that's kind of like an outsider thing for me is like, what if a team wanted to trade up for them? Like, I'm looking at a couple of teams further back. Like, Phoenix has a lot of picks.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, the Clippers have 2 picks too right now in the lottery, so
I'm
I mean, they could
thinking
possibly trade up.
if a team traded up for him, I could see Phoenix taking. If it landed like it did today, if they traded up, like they're 15 and 16 or something, to get back to like 8 or 9, 10, like somewhere in that range, like if they get what they need at 2 and they could take him in that range, I think they'd be thrilled. I honestly do, because Dragon Bender's gotten a lot of shit because he has not wowed anybody. I still think he's young. I think he's a good passing big, and I think he's got potential. And honestly, Marquise Chris has been disappointing.
Well,
like,
yeah, but
I think I can just honestly say that without anybody going, no, he's just disappointing.
Okay, he's been disappointing, and so is Bender. But again, these guys are still young.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
still going to take a while. And when I first I was looking back at my mocks.
Yeah.
Chris was around 20 when that first started, and he only jumped because NBA execs liked him. I didn't see a guy that was ready for the NBA.
You saw the NBA body.
They like the body, and they like the athleticism.
And
honestly, I kind of see it with Marvin Bagley, but Bagley's much better and
offensively as well.
He's got the athleticism too.
He's got the athleticism the same size as Chris, or similar at least in that aspect. He's got more polish to his game, but then again, I see some similarities between him and Marquise Chris, at least college-wise. I mean, obviously, Chris was working with DeJounte Murray, and it was different offenses, obviously better players on this Duke team. And now Bagley is the guy on that Duke team. Chris wasn't the guy on that Washington team. But you can kind of see similar bodies, similar athleticism. I think there's a thing with Bagley where I don't know what he will be able to do in the NBA. The talent is there. The athleticism is there. But again, you were saying 14 and 9.
I think that's totally realistic.
And you can look at someone like Free Game who's coming out and saying 18 and 9, and that's cat numbers. And his argument's that
Sorry.
Free Game's argument was the fact that he's more polished offensively than Karl Anthony Towns was in his rookie year. He's a much better athlete. Face-up game's much better. I just don't know if you're going to be if he goes to a team, if he's going to be able to show his face-up game, all of these things, because you look at that Minnesota team, it was Wiggins and Cat. That's all it was, and Levine as well.
You bring up a great point, because his usage, and that became a source of controversy with him coming back from his injury, is because he became that black hole of offense for that team. In the NBA, is he going to need that high usage to stay engaged, or will he be okay with a more limited role, not being the guy on a team? That's I think what I'd like to see how that plays out.
Well, and the thing that I'm thinking of is that Phoenix thing that you mentioned, Dave. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to bring them back in with the whole thing where you're saying get what they want at 2, then trade up.
Stay tuned for what?
I'm bringing the Suns up again in the next segment. It's what we call a tease in the biz, Sean.
Okay.
A tease. I'm teasing
I thought you meant just in this segment later.
I was like,
just bring it up now, dumbass.
No, later in
how long
the
we going?
Grizzlies segment,
45 minutes.
I'm going to bring the Suns up again. But no, I mean, for me, if I had to do it, I would think about it for Dallas, but my ultimate one, I really like the Knicks one that you brought up, because it's also, he can also get, and he being Bagley, can get into the game without having to worry about how do I fit with KP right away. He can just get used to the NBA, then KP comes back, February? It would almost be
almost
if we're
a
going
full year. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how he recovers.
Yeah,
but
it would be
did not
around
look
this time where he'd be back with KP, and then KP's coming back to a kid who, hey, I've been in the NBA for half a year. I'm almost to my second year.
Well, and one thing, too, with Bagley is he seems like he could be a great pick-and-roll guy. We haven't seen that really shine at Duke so far.
Well, they kind of lack a true point at times.
So I mean, we haven't seen him really work in the pick-and-roll.
Grayson Allen not a true point
He's
guard.
not a point guard. Get the fuck out.
He handles the ball.
That's why our first reaction, both of us said, "Shut up." Like that should tell you something. Don't defend your take. But
I didn't like Grayson Allen.
No one's saying. We didn't say we dislike Grayson Allen. We're saying he's not a true point. The kid's a fucking shooting guard. Half the time he's sitting on the wing waiting for the ball to get passed to him. But we haven't seen Bagley work in the pick and roll, like truly work in the pick and roll.
Yeah.
And you think about the possibilities of a two pick set. Well, I mean, they don't really have a true point guard out in New York either, so that's really going to kill him. Because I know Moutier's been okay, but again, we don't know exactly what's Moutier going to be.
The shining star.
Trey Burke too. Actually, I thought he was supposed to be my wet boy this week.
God.
And we know Frank is very raw right now. But you think of the idea of KP and Bagley setting two screens on the right side. They drive to the right side. Bagley rolls in through the middle of the paint. KP pops out. That's disgusting.
Let me ask you
I mean,
then.
I think fit-wise, New York's the best team.
I'm going to pop this question off then. You're at number 9. You're GM of the Knicks. Congratulations, Sean. I know it's the job you've always wanted.
Thank you.
What do you go with at 9 if you had to choose between Bagley and Sexton then?
None of Marvin Bagley won't be there, so count
No, I'm
Sexton.
saying if Bagley's there, do you go Bagley or Sexton?
Bagley's got a higher ceiling, so I'd go Bagley. Not even potential-wise or fit-wise. Like, it's easy Bagley. Like, I mean...
I think that's not the same case for everybody.
What do you mean?
I don't think everyone would agree that they take Bagley over Sexton.
Because like
I think
what you were talking
ceiling-wise-
about, they need a point guard as well. Do you go that point guard in Sexton who we're saying like we're comparing like him and Trae Young, and he's one of the top point guards in this draft. Not a deep point guard draft though.
Right now with the Knicks, we see so many point guards that are starting quality. You can find those guys in free agency. You can find those guys somewhere. And also you look at the team right now. We don't know what Moutier will exactly be because he's still young. He's been okay in a Knicks uniform. And also Frank, we know he's more of a 2, but they want to develop into a 1. They're mostly going to put him at the 2 for the rest of the season. But we don't know what kind of jump he can take throughout his NBA career. So with the KP injury, I would take Marvin Bagley, not only because I believe he has a higher ceiling, but also he can be a guy that hopefully one day, in your eyes, could not only be a great counterpart to KP, but if KP doesn't come back the same way, he could become possibly the guy for the New York Knicks. I'm not saying that he could be and will be, or I'm sorry, I'm not saying that he will be, but he possibly could be if KP isn't able to come back exactly healthy. And if he does come back, you have a 1-2 punch that could possibly be dynamic in KP and Bagley. So if I am the Knicks at 9, even though it won't happen because Bagley's not falling to 9, I would go Bagley over Sexton.
According to you. I'm just saying, if you look at the top 10, though, like there's only one team that wouldn't take Bagley, I think.
Which one?
Orlando.
Okay.
Because if they're going to keep Aaron Gordon, which I know had been rumored a little bit on and off again, but if they're keeping Aaron Gordon, that's the only team that I would truly say 1 through 10 right now that wouldn't have a reason to like Marvin Bagley. I mean, he is a good college player, and I think that, like I said, not all of his game will translate, but enough of it so he's super effective, and I think that all of these teams would add value by adding him.
So
real quick, are we sure Orlando wouldn't add him? They like size, they like athleticism.
And they don't need point guards, because DJ Augustine...
No, but I'm serious. Like we've seen that Orlando likes size and they like athleticism.
They drafted Jonathan Isaac. He's sort of been a ghost this year.
Well, he's been hurt.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We haven't. Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Gordon's the same thing. I mean, athletic freak. Has a size and length. I mean, I wouldn't completely rule it out.
Three guys who are like 6'10" and up.
It's Orlando we're talking about. I'm not ruling Orlando doing anything.
Fair enough.
Well, like you said, 1 through 10, the one team sitting there right at 10 with the 70s. If he was there,
why not?
Would the 76ers take him?
I mean, would they need shooting? Yes, but at the same
do
time,
they need another big?
It depends on the contract situations. If they want to make any moves this offseason, they've got enough for one max contract. What else can they do? I wouldn't put it past them. It's a Colangelo.
They got enough for one LeBron.
I know Jake's going to kill me because he just sent me stats about how good Dario's been recently.
Yeah, Dario's been great.
But if Dario comes up closer to his contract and you have Bagley, Dario, and JoJo as your 3, Dario's coming closer to his contract, you have the ability to hold on to Bagley and you have the contract length. What if you just trade Dario for wing help and shooting help? I'm not saying like that would happen anytime soon, but you can move to the point where after a year of Bagley getting used to playing in the NBA and Bagley growing, and Dario starts saying, hey, I want some cash, but you want to be focusing on Embiid, Simmons, Fultz, and Bagley, then you could just move Dario for some wing help and some shooting help. So, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say that, hey, Bagley, a guy who we think needs some work in the NBA to become a better shooter, to become a better ball handler, that he could work coming off the bench for the 76ers on a potential playoff team with them having that Lakers big
and
time.
Dario has 2 years with a club option before he's an RFA.
Okay, so he's still got a while.
But you look at that center position, and if you want to mix it up, if Rashawn Holmes, you might want to add a backup big. So I'm just saying.
And Amir Johnson's gonna be gone after this year.
Yeah, Christ, he better be.
So they just got rid of Trev Book.
Yeah, no, that's my thing. Is like, could they? Yes, I totally think they could. Do they have better options to take? Probably.
Anyways, which team should take him? Which team is the best fit for Marvin Bagley?
I'm going to say the Mavericks.
I think
I'm going to go with Dallas.
If he can work at the pick and roll with Dennis Smith Jr., disgusting.
Yeah, I like the Mavericks. I think you pretty much talked me into it. I even want to say Bulls a little bit. Same reason you brought up the Knicks, and that's just you have you have a 5 or a 4 or whatever you want to call them,
If he's
who
there,
can
I'd
shoot
think
from the
about it.
outside, I think he adds a ton of value. I would not be afraid to shy away from that. So I'll go Knicks.
If Bagley's at 8, the Bulls are taking him.
Yeah.
And he would be probably disgusting.
It's like we
to pair
took
with
how we took
Markkanen.
Laurie last year, and I was like, "Why are we taking Markkanen? We need a point guard." And I've liked Markkanen.
Because Chris Dunn turned out to actually be able to play point guard.
I've liked the finisher. He's proven me wrong.
I think the best fit for him is still Memphis. That's why we mocked him at 6, but Memphis wouldn't take him at 1. However, with how close this stuff is,
Who knows?
How much this can change, I think Memphis is still the team that best fits Marvin Bagley because with the way that Gasol has been shown to stretch the floor, working with Mike Conley, could absolutely be fantastic, and he's working with guys that he wouldn't be the number one guy right away, but at some point he will become the number one guy with how old those guys are. Conley, Gasol, Gasol possibly moved as well. I think it could be interesting. I think the Grizzlies would probably be the team that best fits him, and possibly the team that could have a chance of taking him because I don't think Chicago and New York will be in the position to take him. I think Memphis, if they fall and start winning some games again, they would have the opportunity to take Bagley, and Bagley would probably fit best with them. But again, Bagley, you need size in the NBA. If he can shoot, he's going to be disgusting, and he just needs to learn how to play defense. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, the talent, the athleticism is there for Marvin Bagley. We just don't know how he's going to fit into an NBA system and how he's going to fit into an NBA team. But that's why we have the next 5 years to wait and see how Bagley fits.